Now I'm gonna make the video to answer the age-old question that has already come up one time. I got my first one. Why did it take so long? Why come out now? And sorry, to be honest, I never felt it was the time once I figured out that it affected me. So let's take a step back. This happened when I was 13. I'm 42 now. It happened when I was 13. I was taken to his beach house on a little weekend trip or whatever. I don't know if it was 1 or 2 nights, by his mom. And although we know them, they're our family, and I didn't feel like I was in danger, it wasn't like I was bonded with her, but I was bonded with him. And that's because he gave me gifts. He did things for me. He showed me attention at a time in my life where it was a strenuous time for a kid. A big changes, and somebody's being kind to you, and that's how grooming is. Anyway, once it happened, once the incident actually happened in the ocean at the beach, while his mother and his wife and his baby sat on the beach, when it happened, who was I going to tell? He was my safe person. So I don't know what my thoughts were at that time, but like looking back, when you ask why didn't you tell somebody, who was I going to tell? I didn't feel safe telling anybody else. Fast forward, I guess I block it out or whatnot, or maybe I tell a friend. I can't remember when I told him. I met this friend when I was 12, and we were friends since then. I don't remember when I told him, but he made a joke about it, which made me kind of validated that it wasn't that big of a deal, and also embarrassed me to tell the story. So I, out of sight, out of mind, right? Like just poof. And so then, fast forward to adult relationships, and I tell my partners at the time that it happened, but in a getting to know you kind of conversation, not in a it's affecting us kind of conversation or anything. And of course it was met with, oh, that sucks. I brought it up with therapists, but I never got to stick with a therapist long enough to get down to like what actually happened. But I always felt like they say, did you have a good childhood? And I'd say, yeah, I did. Okay. My parents weren't abusive. They, my cousin touched me one time, but I mean, that wasn't that big of a deal. So when people ask, well, why didn't you tell people when you got home? Why didn't you tell your parents? Through my work in the last 10 years, since this has come to light that it affected me, I've talked a lot with my mom about how I appreciate that they did the best they could in parenting, the best they knew how. But I was a very emotional, reactive child and teenager, and my dad did not like yelling, and I'm not my mom either, I guess. I'm not going to just blame my dad. But anytime I got loud, didn't matter what I was trying to say, I would get shut down, and sent to my room, or, we didn't really talk about how we feel about things in our house. And everybody would admit it, even my father before he passed away. So it's not like this is a news to anybody. But so there was no who was I gonna tell? And like I said, later on it was kind of validated and pushed aside by a friend that wasn't a great friend, but still an important part of my life. And so then we fast forward to, I think I told in the other videos, the stories of when my stepdaughter was around the same age and opened a door. And because I've gone through a lifetime, my adult life, of not being able to afford therapy and having to go to like the community health center therapy place, and they go the turnover of therapists, and like I said, lack of financing. I never really got to stick with a therapist to get down to the bottom of things. But I got pieces of some good ones, and lots of research and other people sharing their stories and how it affected them, and how they, I mean, like, they got like professional help. And I just had to do a lot of soul searching, because I was a person that I didn't want to be, and I had to figure out why I was so angry and why I was so reactive. And I'm still so reactive. But I'm not blaming one incident on any. I'm not blaming the one thing for where I'm at today. I am just saying that things would be different if that didn't happen. So yeah, if anybody wants to ask any questions, just message me. I'm ready.